Welcome to the Happy Hormones Coach podcast, your go-to source for all things women's health. I'm here to guide you through the ups and downs of hormonal changes, helping you understand how these shifts impact every aspect of your life. So whether you're in the perimenopause phase or really any other phase of life, looking to improve your overall well-being, or just seeking practical tips on stress management, nutrition, and fitness, then this podcast is for you. Join me as we explore holistic and functional approaches to health, share expert insights from guests, and empower you to feel your best at every stage of life. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to remind you that the information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any medical condition. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health regimen. Hey, hormone hotties, welcome back to the Happy Hormones Coach podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer, and today we're talking about a topic that hits home for so many of us, people pleasing, yes, including myself. That nagging habit of always putting others first, even when it means sacrificing your own needs and well-being. Well, today I'll share why people-pleasing can be such a problem and how it affects our health and simple steps you can take to break free from it. I'll also share a personal story that might just sound a little too familiar. So grab your tea or coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's get into it. Let's start with a quick definition. What is people-pleasing anyways? People-pleasing is that deep-rooted need to make everyone around you happy, even if it comes at a cost to yourself. It might look like saying yes or even no when you really mean no or yes. I know, it's a little bit confusing, but it's pretty much like saying yes when you really mean no. Basically, avoiding confrontation or bending over backwards to make sure others are comfortable, while you're left feeling exhausted, unappreciated, and maybe even resentful. For a lot of us, this habit starts young. We're praised for being good girls who are helpful and polite. That praise becomes part of how we see ourselves. But as adults, especially for women in midlife, dealing with all the changes that comes with perimenopause, people-pleasing can start to feel like a weight holding us back. Now, you might be wondering, okay, but why is this a problem? Well, people-pleasing doesn't just drain your energy, it can take a serious toll on your health. When we constantly prioritize others' needs over our own, it does lead to chronic stress, even if you feel it or not. And we all know how harmful stress can be. Hello, hormonal imbalance, stubborn belly fat, and endless fatigue. I remember a time not too long ago when I was trying to be everything to everyone, showing up for clients, friends, family, and saying yes to things I just didn't have time for. That included seminars, webinars, classes, etc., etc. It was around the same time I was dealing with hormonal chaos and everything else going on with me then. And one day I realized that my heart was racing even when I was just sitting on the couch, and I felt like I could just never truly relax. My body was telling me something was off, and it turned out that all of the stress came from saying yes when I should have been saying no. People-pleasing keeps us in a state of constant fight or flight, and over time, this stress can disrupt our sleep, digestion, and even our immune function. And as a holistic health practitioner, I see this all the time with clients, and even in hindsight with myself. They come to me feeling burnt out, overwhelmed, stuck, and so often we trace it back to those deep-rooted people-pleasing tendencies and additional other things as well. So why is this so hard to stop? And a lot of it comes down to fear. Fear of disappointing others, fear of conflict, or even fear of being seen as selfish. As women, we're often conditioned to believe that our value comes from being nurturing and accommodating. But here's the thing. Constantly giving from an empty cup does not serve you or anyone else. You deserve to set boundaries, prioritize your needs, and feel at peace with those decisions. Think about it like this. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And if you're always pouring out your energy to others without taking time to refill, eventually there's nothing left for you, for yourself. And that's not sustainable. It's not sustainable short term and it's not sustainable long term. And it's not selfish to take care of yourself first. It's actually essential and much needed for your health. Now, let's get into the practical part. Here are a few simple steps to start breaking free from people pleasing. Well, one is recognize when you're doing it. Awareness is always the first step in anything. Notice the situations where you're quick to say yes when you want to say no. Ask yourself why you're agreeing. Is it out of genuine desire? Or are you afraid of how the other person might react and just want to avoid any conflict whatsoever? And number two is practice saying no in low stakes situations. So start small. Practice saying no to things that don't really matter. Maybe it's declining an invitation to a virtual event that you're really not interested in. Just get comfortable with the discomfort of actually setting that boundaries. It's going to do leaps and bounds for you in the future when there is something that comes across that you might want to say yes to, but just really don't have it in your schedule, don't have time for it, etc., etc. And number three, reframe your beliefs around boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about creating space for yourself. You deserve to have time for yourself, time to rest, self-care, and for the things that bring you joy. I always recommend this. You have to nourish your body. You have to nourish your mind. Self-care is not selfish whatsoever. And so changing your beliefs about boundaries and setting time for yourself is really going to help. And creating a self-care ritual. So make time each day, even just 10 to 15 minutes, to do something that fills your cup, whether it's reading, going for a walk, or simply just sitting in silence and just staring out a window or whatever that might look like to you. When you regularly prioritize your own needs, you're less likely to feel drained by others' needs and their energy around you. So just refill that cup. Surround yourself with supportive people. It's easier to set boundaries when you're around people who respect them. It really totally is. So seek out friends or a community that understands your journey and supports you in putting yourself first. For example, I was just working with a client this week, and she really recognized from some functional testing that she had done that she has chronic stress. And she understands, she actually has awareness around it. We've been working for a while on stress management, but she actually understood that just how powerful others' energy is around her own and why she's in a constant state of stress. And so when talking about it, she realized that, and she came to her own conclusion, which I love because I love empowering women just to know for themselves. And I always say that you know your body more than anyone else. You actually have the knowledge. Sometimes it just takes other people to help you along to get to that. But she came to the conclusion that she understands who she needs to not necessarily let go out of her life, but who she can love at a distance. Those that bring negative energy around, and those that don't really respect her boundaries or kind of where she's at with whatever she's doing. And so that's a huge step. That's really big. And this does go with the surrounding yourself with supportive people and not people that don't respect your energy, respect your time or your boundaries and your space, but those that really honor where you're at as well. And I'll share a personal story with you. A few years ago, I was asked to take on a volunteer role in my community. I was overwhelmed with my business, actually multiple businesses, managing my health and trying to navigate the changes that come with perimenopause and just life in general. I said yes anyways because I did not want to let anybody down. And hey, being present is always good for business, right? Well, fast forward a few months and I found myself dreading kind of everything, feeling resentful of the time it took away from my own needs, and even just like my own health declining from just constant chronic stress. And one day, just really after a stressful time, I came home and just was so upset. I realized that I had been so worried about disappointing others that I had been disappointing myself all along. I looked in the mirror and I told my husband, I just don't recognize who I am anymore. And that was my wake up call. I ended up stepping down, and you know what? It was terrifying, but it was also the most liberating decision I had made in a really long time. It reminded me that I have the power to choose what I take on. And guess what? So do you. Letting go of people pleasing isn't just about saying no more often. It's about reclaiming your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. When you stop living for others' approvals, you start actually living for yourself. You'll find that you have more time for what truly matters, whether that's focusing on your health, spending time with loved ones, your business, getting more stuff done there, or just simply enjoying a quiet moment to yourself. You don't have to be everything to everyone. It's okay to take a step back and ask, what do I need right now? You do deserve to put yourself first. And I just want to thank you for joining me today for this brief episode on people pleasing. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. Share it on social media, tag me, and let me know your thoughts. And if you haven't already, please take a moment to leave a review. It helps more women to find the show and start their journey to feeling good, period. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep those hormones happy. Thank you for tuning in to the Happy Hormones Coach podcast. I hope you found today's episode insightful and empowering. Remember, taking charge of your health is a journey, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. If you enjoyed this episode or any of the other episodes, please be sure to share, subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It does help me to reach more women like you who are striving for optimal health and happiness. And don't forget to follow me on social media for daily tips and inspiration. Until next time, stay healthy, stay happy, and keep thriving.